Hello, hello, hello. Wow, I need to sit up straight, but then I gotta like hunch into the mic. Welcome to Drinks with Dylan, everybody. Cheers. Thank you for being here. I have coffee because it's the morning, talking about the episode up to come. But oh god, you know when your body does that stupid thing where you breathe liquid. Apparently, that term is aspirate. Thanks to the sister-in-law for that one, but. Been doing that a lot lately. It makes me feel really stupid. Or like you just like breathe saliva and you're like, this isn't air. I can't do that. I'm not a fish. And then you like have a tough time. Anyways, thanks for being here. Inconsistent, I know. Still trying to figure out a cadence with this and get it more frequent, whatever else. But this is the pace for now. I'll just post it and then you can check it out. But thanks for being here. I super appreciate it. This episode, catching up with my old college roommate, Cooper. Regarding the John Toaster incident that I mentioned and then forgot to circle back to, he didn't actually break John's toaster, but one of our roommates, John, had a toaster. Cooper put in some bread, and then all of a sudden it just like stopped working. He didn't like bash it or like mess up this whole thing. It just stopped working, and he happened to be the last guy to use it. And then my roommate John got all upset at other roommate Cooper. It was a thing, but that's not important. The important part is that you hang out and have a drink with us. And, I don't know. What do we talk about? We talk about just Cooper's moved like 3 times in the past year. He graduated with a degree in international studies and had the possibility to work for some people that were like supportive of the Trump administration and opted out of that. He talks about that a little bit. And all sorts of stuff, and our kind of journey from college to actual life and finding jobs and all that stuff, because that's just been heavy on my brain lately. I'm not going to front. I've been thinking about job stuff and life stuff, just a whole bunch. The next episode is just me by myself discussing it. So we get into a little bit with Cooper, but thank you for being here. I appreciate it and enjoy the episode. Doing it. We're live. I clicked the record button. It's starting now. So can you see everything? I know you got to see my face through this fucking weird screen share, but that's just
into the whole setup.
Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, that way you can see chat too. But sweet, yes, man. Well, okay. This is the part where I try to show how good of a host I am, which is not great. But that's what makes this episode exciting, is I haven't seen Cooper in forever. Thanks for joining us again for Drinks with Dylan. We have Cooper York, who was my first, I guess, like roommate. If you could, we'll talk about that. Like sort of roommate in college when I first moved to New York, and I haven't spoken to him in forever. So I just don't know. We're just gonna catch up and have drinks. So getting into the drink part, which is why we're all here. You were hyped on the drinks. You were like, I can't wait to drink. You were like, I feel like you've just been like sober for the past like 3 months or something. You're like, I'll wait for this moment.
I don't have anybody to drink with here, so.
I mean,
it's my parents.
Might sound dark, but it's never stopped anybody. Aren't you near Madison, bro? I mean, like,
yeah, I mean, just outside, but like, don't know anybody here, so I can't really go to the place.
That's true. It's probably not great bar time. All right, we're drinking the Balvenie. By the way, if you want to see the bottle that I'm holding, we have a YouTube channel. There's 2 subs, so if you want to help us out there, if you're listening to this, still listen here, but take this time to go to the YouTube and click it. But we're drinking Balvenie Doublewood because I got it for Christmas because it was a little bit cheaper than Oban. And I'm going to try to get the cork pop last time, man, sucked. So let's see. I think that was better. And then the pour part.
Sounded nice.
The pour part's never as satisfying, but I think I think the folly in videos in like movies and shows is just really good. So then every time I do it, it sounds like shit. But so hopping into the talking part, we met in New York. You were from Arizona, and then you moved to Wisconsin. So right? And this beer is like only there, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah. So it's New Glarus Spotted Cow, only found in New Glarus. It's only brewed in New Glarus, found only in Wisconsin. Don't export anywhere. I've brought it 3. Last time I brought it to New York to share with some of my friends. I took it to Oregon for a wedding, and I took it to Arizona for just like my friends to try.
Yeah, I think the last time I had anything from there was a friend who also like I went to high school with, and he brought some back. But cheers, man! Thanks again for being here. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You already went earlier.
Yeah, I already drank. My bad. My social skills aren't that good right now.
Yeah, well, everyone's struggling. So I guess starting with just the college part, so it makes a little bit more sense. The reason I say like kind of roommates is because first off, he broke John's toaster, but that's later. So
I did not. I did not break John's toaster.
we
That's false.
we shared like the dorm situation was stupid. In my first school, it was 2 beds per room, and then it was like shared mass showers for like the whole men's half of the floor. For this, it was like 2 pods because it was like very expensive. It was like a privately owned thing, but like considered the dorms, but didn't pull from your financial aid directly. It was like detached, and they were like really shitty and vibey about it. It was like a rough time.
Separate from the school.
Yeah, like when I moved there, they're like, hey, you need to pay for it, and I was like, well, I'm paying for it with financial aid, so I'm definitely. What do you want me? I'm gonna stay in a hotel for my first month of school. Like I can afford a hotel in the city. Like just fucking wait, and we'll get there. Which was a pain, but so it was 2 separate rooms with 2 like twin beds. So it was me and my roommate John, and then Cooper was in the other side with Liam, and in the middle was the kitchen and a bathroom that was like. Now thinking back to the bathroom, that was fucking creepy with like no windows, like a stand-up shower that was skinny in the bathroom that you could like reach out and touch. Even for New York, like that was kind of, there was definitely some weird like house arrest vibes at that. Like, and also just if you're older than 12, I think I'm like a firm believer in this. If you're older than 12, you fucking should not spend a night in the like a room with another grown adult on 2 tiny beds next to each other. Like it's so awkward, especially when you don't meet people, to be like, all right, man, well, I guess I got to say goodnight because this is just like weird. It's so awkward, man.
How old were you whenever you like my freshman year? You were way older than me. You were at least 21.
I think I was 20 for that first year until May.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I turned 21 that May, which was also weird because like the dorms was a lot of like freshmen. And it was my junior year, but it was like very hard to find an apartment in the city, and I knew no one there, so it was like a big kind of like leap. So I was like, well, dorms is the easiest way. It turns out not even almost, but it was like, yeah, it was like the smoothest transition, I guess. But yeah, it gets worse exponentially every year over 12 that you pass because it's just like so shitty, man.
In my first apartment after the towers, I got it for way cheaper, like right on 125th in Harlem, like right across from the Apollo, basically for only $1,000 a month. Which was considerably less than
right than living with another guy in like this tiny cramped thing. Also, there was no ventilation. So as a side note, we talked about it last time when I like cooked and like was talking about smoke alarms and shit. But like it was so bad. Like if I tried to make like one thing I would do is like I made wings every Friday. We had like a couple Fridays in a row too where you were there for like wing night. But like it would just get so hot. And there was no ventilation. Like if someone showered, the shower and kitchen, because it was like one kind of in tandem thing, was just fucking foggy and humid. And if you cooked, it was just like smoky and like it was so rough, man. It was so weird.
Oh, good times.
I mean, it definitely happened. But I'm fixing this thing real quick because I tried to save camera settings and it doesn't. Again, if you want to see me moving around on the screen, you should really check out the YouTube. It's great. There we go. That looks a little bit better. Now I got to stand up straight. There we go. I'll just drop it a little bit. We're set. So since school, because you graduated, right? Congrats, by the way, on that.
Thank you.
So what did you graduate in and what did you go do? Because the last we spoke, you were like very interested in like politics and like UNE things.
Yeah, so I graduated with a degree in international studies. So for my final year of college, basically, I was primarily focusing on Russia and the North Atlantic Treaty Organization and kind of like their expansion back into Eastern Europe in the 90s and the early 2000s. So, I mean, like I wrote my whole senior thesis on Russian expansion and NATO expansion during those times with a really cool professor that I had for the past 3 years, basically. And then the pandemic hit, and so like all the places that I was applying to. So like I applied to the State Department, passed the test, was getting to like the oral exam part and everything. And then the pandemic hit and like the government basically got shut down. And then they sent out a whole email saying like, we have a backlog of people that we're trying to get into the State Department for the past year. So now we have to like focus on them. So like my entire class kind of just got phased out back in early April.
Jesus, man. And were you still in New York or was this when you were back in Chicago?
No, so we like to use the term evacuate and fled. So I pretty much just fled Chicago. I fled New York back to here in Madison, Wisconsin, just to live with my parents. I've been here since March 19th.
Okay, so All right, I'm trying to get the timeline for all this. You were done with school pre-pandemic, right? So that September was your first fall not in school?
No. I finished in May, like this past May.
Oh, so you had to do half your
May.
schooling like during Rona Palooza. Oh, shit. I don't know why I thought it'd been like a year since. I think it's just because you moved so many times that I was like, yeah, he's definitely got to be not in school still.
Yeah, no, I wish. Yeah, the last semester was pretty rough.
So what happened as far as like the schooling side then? It just went all remote or?
Yeah, so like, let me give you the timeline because, so like my baseball season started February 25th, I think was like our first game.
Okay.
And we played a game in New York. No, unfortunately. So then we had a game on February 25th. Then we went down to Virginia like a week and a half later to play like 6 games. And then so that's like early March now, like March 8th or so. We came back and that's whenever like the first cases of coronavirus started in like New Rochelle.
Okay.
And my coach was freaking out because he lived in New Rochelle. So
I'm fucked.
Like, yeah, I mean he was like, oh, I just like barely got out of the quarantine zone for New Rochelle. And then, like, I had friends all over the country playing baseball at the same time, too, and all their seasons were starting to get canceled. And I was like, well, if NYU season's getting canceled, like, pretty sure CCNY's season's going to get canceled, too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that's crazy.
It came down, like, March 12th, and then I left a week later.
Okay, and then all your classes just, like, went remote. Was there any, like, weird middle ground time? And, like, what was your last semester like as far as class load?
So there was like a weird intermission period where like CUNY as a system just gave us a week off to like transition teachers to basically learn how to teach online like within a week. Because I mean like
adequate time for sure.
You've seen the professors at CCNY in general, but like across the board, teachers that age are not generally susceptible to teaching online and like transitioning that fast.
Yeah.
So like luckily my teachers put in work to like help us learn, but I heard other stories of teachers just not emailing their students, not holding classes, just then like read this, do a discussion board post, and that's it. That's the semester.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You wanna know what's wild? So I took Tai Chi my last semester, like Chinese Tai Chi, and I had the professor who went to Tokyo like 2 weeks after we started doing online stuff. She just didn't tell anybody. But she was still teaching Tai Chi like at our designated time in New York, despite it being like 3 a.m. in Tokyo.
That's so fucking crazy.
I was like, this teacher's going beyond and over, and you have other teachers that are just shitting themselves, like not doing anything.
Yeah, dude, that's wild. I mean, my experience at that school was already kind of scuffed, anyways. Not in a pandemic, to be honest, with like a loss of transcripts and like losing money, and just like all sorts of random shit. There was like admin issues and like. One semester I couldn't start until like midterms, and I finally got approved for this class, and he's like, all right, well, the midterm's next class, so you're still gonna have to take that and pass. I got like a B, which is fine, which is why I think I'm equipped at marketing. But I was like, wow, imagine it wasn't me, like that'd be so fucked. But yeah, I mean that's got to be wild, especially there. And it's not like, I guess it is kind of bad mouthing the school, whatever. I already had like some weird experiences pre-COVID anyways, so I can't imagine that. Like,
I mean, I don't know what your thoughts on college are, but at this point, like, spend all this money to get a degree, but like the government's not hiring. These other private companies aren't hiring, like out of my major. So like, it's not that it was a waste of time because I learned a lot, but like I learned what I like to do too.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the ROI just from like a business standpoint, it's not like it would be the worst. Like if you tried to pitch college with the conversion rates, I do.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice. It's not bad though. I've definitely had one time my friend was like, a girlfriend was taking a shower and it was just like this high pitched whining of like a pipe in the background the whole time. But yeah, like, I don't know. It's such a weird. If you tried to pitch college to someone as like an investor, and you're like, yeah, this is your chance of success upon graduating, like just like, and broke it down into numbers that are like very businessy, you know, it would like that looks like shit on paper. Like that just looks so bad. Like, hey, you want to spend tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then like have the same chance as everybody else, or just watch videos on YouTube and like know somebody who knows somebody and get the job. It's like, all right, sick.
I mean, majority of those jobs are all who you know and like networking and just like running into somebody on the street that you happen to know, and then boom, you have a job like with either with them or they know somebody, and you get a foot in the door that way.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of how I have a friend that's in the army who connected me with a Arizona congresswoman's office in DC. And so like for the past few months I was trying to get set up with them, and like I was planning on going there and to DC in January, but it turns out that the lady's a huge Trump supporter and she just voted to like not certify Arizona's electoral votes just like a few days ago, but whenever the Capitol Hill stuff happened. So now at this point I'm
Yeah.
like I'm entirely off the boat on that, not willing to do it.
Yeah, that's not even like good experience at this point. It's like, yeah, also
Yeah.
remember that guy that was terrible and the people that supported him? Yeah, I was a part of that, so hire me. That's
Yeah.
almost like worse than like no experience. Like, you have any past job experience? Just fucking say
Yeah.
no. Like,
It's not worth signing your name to.
yeah, that's wild. Especially with stuff like, because it sounds like it's like that's basically like, I mean, obviously with congresswoman would be like politics stuff, but with that kind of degree and with that kind of work, like that is basically pursuing like something in politics at that point, right?
Yeah, I mean, for the degree, yes. For like the skills that I learned getting the degree, I guess no. Because like at this point, I'm a pretty solid writer and like can critically think, but you can critically think anywhere. But
Sure.
like the writing skills, I definitely like attached to CCNY and like the stuff that I learned there.
Okay. Do you still blog? I know you're doing that for a bit with some things. Like you wrote something after like the Trump election and stuff too.
Yeah, it kind of like fizzled out over the years, but like now I kind of just use it to post past papers that I did during school and stuff. So
Okay.
like you can find all my papers that I did for my Russia classes, my senior thesis and stuff on there. I was considering doing another one for this past election whenever he lost, but it just wasn't worth it with it'd be going on Facebook. And I don't know, have you watched The Social Dilemma on Netflix?
No, I've heard about it though.
It's it's one of the reasons why like one I deleted my Facebook, or at least deleted the app, but also I'm never gonna post anything on there again because the majority of my audience and like friends that are on there aren't gonna see it based on
Sure.
just the algorithm that shows them posts based on what they've I guess engaged with in the past.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. That's just like a whole fucking like social media issue anyways, which we've talked about a lot on like this podcast with like socials, and also like there was something on the Times I still got to listen to because it's like a podcast series, but it was about someone who was like extremely right winged and like super conservative, and he went so far as like he just went down this YouTube rabbit hole of watching all these things. I think it's like literally called the rabbit hole or something, and then he ran out
Yeah.
of like conservatives interviewing conservatives, and then started watching liberals interviewing conservatives, and then through it he like flipped and then kind of ended up more middle in the end, I think was like the result. I don't remember. A friend was filming me in, but because he just like cycled around, but he was just like fed everything that he liked so much that he just ran out of shit to watch because he just watched like hours of YouTube a day, which is also just like an insanely obsessive thing to do. And
Yeah.
also like, do you have a job? But not to jab, but like, I wish I could just watch YouTube for hours. I'd learn so much about cooking. Holy shit.
I mean, at this point, like social media, I think is damaging society more than helping it or connecting people.
Yeah.
Like my parents have cousins in Ohio and like Kentucky and stuff that are they're little nut jobs now, QAnon conspiracy followers. They don't believe that any of the Capitol Hill stuff that happened on Wednesday actually happened. They think it's all staged.
Yeah.
It's
That's like
It's bizarre.
that's getting very deep with it. I mean, I always said to like for the past while, like if I weren't doing what I'm trying to do and I weren't trying to grow like a podcast and like a YouTube channel, all this, like I wouldn't really be on social media. Like it's cool to see like funny memes and shit and send your friend like goofy things, but I do like a bunch of filtering to like cater my timeline to myself because it just got out of hand with like some music stuff and some change of like, I don't know, pursuits that I had going on, but also just like I don't get it. You know, it's the same reason why I don't follow friends. Is like, no offense, but like I don't give a shit what you're posting. Like we're friends, I'll hear about it, but I don't care. And it sounds harsh, but it's like it's an entertainment thing. Like you wouldn't listen to me sing an opera because I fucking suck at singing. Like I'm not gonna look at your photos of whatever because they're this is so mean, but like they're probably not great photos, and it's probably not stuff that I really care about. And I'd rather like talk to you, and then you text me your photos or send an email or something that's like direct. And then people get obsessed with like trying to be like entertainers and stuff, which frankly, just like that's not a job for everybody. It's hard, and there's a reason why not everyone is like has a voice and a platform and a million followers. Like that's a
I don't know. And people are like, why don't you follow me? It's like, I don't care. It's just straight up. That's just what it is. Like, I'll talk to you. And it's not that I don't care about you as a person. And people like don't differentiate that well, I've found.
Yeah.
Particularly like Moore's friends will be like, why don't you follow me on Instagram? I was like, I don't care. I'll see you again soon. We'll talk about everything you've been up to. Like, there's nothing like what is there for me entertainment wise, which sounds like selfish, but really it is like these social platforms are things that I use to try to grow what I'm trying to do, because I'm like, it is a little bit of ego, I guess, but anything that you do creative or like on any platform is like, hey, I think I'm worth paying attention to. But
yeah,
like, and if other people were pursuing that, I'd be like, yeah, fuck it. Like, you post about your podcast and your YouTube videos and shit, like, absolutely, I'll support and check it out. I don't know, man. I've seen your cat. It's okay. That's weird, man. Okay, so your family moved to Chicago, but were you there for like a summer or no? Because you did that baseball thing, right? Also, Cooper plays baseball. I should have done that in his intro. He does like international things, and baseball was like a thing. Which we'll talk about the gym stuff later too, because you were my introduction to the sweaty mirror land.
Oh, yeah. Hey, the gym. But yeah, let's do timeline wise. Like, I came to college from Arizona, and then like that October of our like first semester together there, my parents moved to Chicago.
Okay.
So then I was in Chicago for basically like a year and a half. I think it was just 2 summers.
Okay.
I don't know. Timeline's messy. I
That
think it
was
was
with
2
that view,
summers.
right? Like you posted the photo of like Target parking lot or some shit, and it was like the skyline. There was something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a pretty cool rooftop that overlooked the Chicago skyline. We were in Bucktown, Chicago. It was a cool area. But so yeah, they were there for 2 years, and then we moved to here in Madison, I think in 2018, like in the
Okay.
fall. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Timelines. I've been
Timelines
so
are
many
hard.
times.
Everything's
I can't
weird
honestly
now.
keep up.
Yeah. Okay. So this is your first time like in Madison for real, then basically like this
Yeah.
semester and this summer and this fall.
Yep.
Damn, you're not even there for like the fun part, because like
I know.
Madison's kind of a good time. Like I have a lot of friends in Madison, and I had a lot of friends in school that like went to Madison. I mean, I was friends with like more upperclassmen, so they were in college, and I was like a senior in high school, and it was just fun to go up to Madison and hang out. And like, it is a party school, and there's a lot of bars, and it's
Yeah.
fun. Like I've never seen. Okay, for anyone who doesn't know Madison, like it's really cool. I was thinking of moving there at one point in time, because like it's so spirited and it's so cliche. Like if you ever wanted the closest thing to like a college movie experience, absolutely would be going to Madison, because it's like
Yeah.
it's the place where if you walk around, everyone's wearing red and white all the time. And like on Saturdays when there's games, just by being there, they had to stop the jump around tradition because it was like registering on the Richter scale, because the student section was just like so nuts. Like you very much know it. And then everyone that's there that's not a college student, I think, is like mid-20s to mid-30s that like married their college sweetheart and like had a kid and found a job and like still lives in the area because it's still like young and fun. But it's like I always I always like tell myself I had like a second life. I would go to Madison for like a business degree just to like live that like party screw around college lifestyle, and then also get like an internship and then just go into a job, because I went for music and that shit just got that. It's been real messy since, but like
No, yeah, like down State Street and everything, just every single bar, like restaurant.
yeah, man.
You got the Capitol like in the background, just straight ahead of you, and then you got the UW campus just straight on the other side.
Yeah, and it's
You
all
have,
like really pretty
both
too.
lakes too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's also the ice fishing there, as a side note, like bluegills on
Yeah.
Mendota that's a thing. We clocked out. It's like the first time I've like hit limit on fishing, and I was like, well, this is all we can catch for the day. It was like, but yeah, it's a cool, it's just like so much like to get a gauge of like how, because I know everyone that goes to a big state school is probably like, oh, that's everywhere. But like, it's so insane and so different, because it's like it's built around it basically is like the feeling, but it's still also a huge city. And then like I remember Saturday game days, like if the game starts at 11, people are like up at 7 pre-gaming for the game, and like everything's open. It's just like so insane, man. And the energy is like very, I'd say it's like the second strongest energy I've felt next to New York. I don't know, maybe it's just like attachment as a Wisconsin raised person, but like it's very powerful.
No, yeah, I like Madison a lot. It's honestly, it might be my like second favorite town that I lived in since Arizona. Because I mean,
Dude.
like it's just laid back, cool. Weather's pretty nice during the summertime. The wintertime, it's freezing, but you just get over it.
Dude, Arizona's scary. As a side note, so I have a friend who lives out there, and like he stepped in his shoe once and had like a crunch of a scorpion, and then had to pay like an exterminator for scorpions, and that's just like a fucking thing that happens. And like the way these insects work that are like deadly is like the smaller they are, the more deadly they are, which is like that's like the red flag of like, hey, do you want to live here? Like, fuck no. Everything that can kill me is very small. Get out.
Remember whenever I moved there, like first weekend we went scorpion hunting, where you take just a black light and then you go outside like along the walls and everything, and you just shine it and then you just find all the scorpions. That was like just one like random thing my neighborhood association would just take kids out to do like every single weekend.
Would you like spray them with anything, or you just fucking look at them and you're like, look, a scorpion?
Just look at them.
That's
Outside my house too, like we had like this kind of like back alleyway in our backyard, and we had crickets out there. And you know that crickets like attract spiders to eat, so you know there are spiders out there, and then scorpions are what eat spiders, so you know that like there's a shit ton of scorpions just like outside crawling on the wall.
That's so insane. Why do people live there? Like, I get that it's like it's a dry heat or whatever, but fuck, like that's so rough, man. Like, why? What?
I hate whenever people say that. The same way that you said it, they're just like exaggerate the dry heat.
But to be fair, like everyone that's talked about, because my family's from Arizona, like I was born in Flagstaff, and like everyone's like, oh, but it's like dry. It's like, I don't give a fuck, man. Like it's hot as balls, and everything can kill. Like the list goes, which I guess you could say about anywhere. Like, but I would rather be cold than hot, you know? Because like I think there's two ways to explain it, which is like hot is uncomfortable, but cold hurts, which I agree. But like, if it's very cold, I can put on more layers, but I can't like take off my skin and just like walk around and be like, now I'm cool. You know, like that's just not a thing.
Side note, did it get warmer in New York over the past 4 years that you've lived there? Because I remember like my freshman year, I thought it was like cold as shit, but maybe that was just because I was from Arizona. And then like this past year, it was like 50 and 60 during the winter time. I'm pretty sure it's like that right now.
Yeah, it's like 39. It's been like the coldest it's gotten, basically. It's very much not what it used to be like at all. You know, I think it was definitely cold at the beginning. And I came from Wisconsin, so I like already had I didn't have any of that like shift of hot to cold. I was just like, yeah, this isn't that cold at all. But yeah, I don't get it, man. I mean, even someone I coached for climbing was talking about, they're from Arizona, and they're like, yeah, up our whole like driveway was just like rattlesnakes on the side of the driveway. And I was just like, what is the appeal? Like, and maybe I'm just like an idiot, you know, like I've heard it's pretty and stuff like that. But like, I mean, my dad was telling me about like a lake that dried up, and it's just like, what is, this doesn't seem livable, you know?
You gotta earn Arizona. Like you can't just go for the falls if you're not staying for the summers. Because like the falls in the wintertime are the best. It's like
an Arizona t-shirt.
Yeah.
You gotta earn Arizona.
I'm gonna trademark it. It'll be on the license plate. But because it's like, literally in the morning time in Arizona during the winter time, it's maybe like 45, but then by noon it's up to 75. It's like you go to school like wearing jeans, and then by lunchtime you're just like sweating your ass off.
Yeah, how do you even dress for that? You know, like what?
You suck it up, honestly.
Yeah, because
you can either like suck up the cold in the morning and just like wear shorts, knowing that you'll be fine later in the day, which is kind of like what I would do. Because I don't think I didn't own a single pair of jeans until I came to New York.
Yeah, man, you're destined for the Midwest.
Yeah.
Shorts in the snow, I don't give a fuck. I'm used to it. I'm from Arizona. What?
I sent a picture of that to one of my New York friends. I was like, is this cold? It was like 5 degrees outside in Madison. There was like ice on the ground and snow on the ground.
Yeah, dude, that's rough, man. I don't know. I mean, I guess, I don't know. I don't mind the cold as much as I used to, but I definitely hate when it gets actually cold, which I guess I'm like, this is fucked up, but like I'm kind of stoked about climate change in that winters suck less, but it also ruined fall and spring, which were my favorite holidays, because I was just like hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, winter, hot, cold, summer. It's just like there's no balance there, but
well, it's a mess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm coming back to New York now, so I get to experience the not so New York winter. Yeah, I thought I told you this on Instagram, didn't I?
Probably. No, I thought I said if I'm ever in Madison, let's grab a drink, or if you're ever in New York or something. But I don't remember you saying it in concrete.
I definitely told you I was moving back. I took a
I'm
job
this shit up.
for with like a sporting goods company that my friend, like I have family friends that live on Long Island that needed a new manager. So I'm coming back to manage their store and like help them grow their small business on Long Island.
Oh, is that the thing that you've been posting about? I don't know why I think it's some lacrosse thing, but it's something else, right?
Yeah, hockey. They're a
Oh yeah.
Long Island hockey company. They own a store called Amity Harbor Sports in Amityville, Long Island, and so like they run
Uh,
custom apparel stuff and like hockey and baseball goods out of there, like sporting equipment stuff. So then they just like created the side company just because they had the tools and means to do it.
Now this sounds familiar. I'm like pretty sure now. I'm
Yeah.
still trying to pull it up, not out of spite, but I just like that sounds very you talked about the dry wedding. That sounds so dumb. Who has a wedding and just like
Oh,
there's no
dude.
bar?
So get me
Um,
started. We didn't even go.
Oh, you said might be
Thankfully.
moving to Long Island for work. That doesn't count. That's not
Oh.
the same. That's like you get
Before
like
everything was finalized. Now it's official.
nice. Well, congrats on the new job. That's cool.
Thank you.
So what are you doing? I zoned out because I was busy trying to pull up the
Yeah,
DMs.
so I'm gonna be their new manager and like help them run their store and grow their small business on Long Island
Nice, man.
because it's been in their family since the '80s and it just hasn't been marketed like extremely well because
The 80s
like,
versus
one there.
2020.
yeah, it's they were like stuck in the Stone Age technology wise. They have a website from like the early 2000s which just looks bad, so we're revamping the website. My
Nice.
boss, she has a degree in marketing and like worked for Chipotle marketing, so we're gonna try to do some big stuff with Long Island marketing now.
Nice, man. That's sick. That's really funny
Yeah.
because I'm also kind of getting into some marketing and like sales campaign stuff. Funny enough. Yeah, maybe it's just a
Interesting.
point of degrees that you're just like, well, I can't do anything
Yeah.
with this. I guess I'll just go into.
Let's go with this.
Yeah,
I mean, it was the
worked out
best
well.
like opportunity at the time, so I don't have anything else going on.
Yeah, I was gonna say with
I
the
was
bar
like,
for
sure.
that, this is the best
Yeah.
opportunity compared to being stuck with my parents not drinking in Madison.
Living in my parents' basement since March hasn't been ideal, so
Yeah,
let's
I
move
mean,
out.
the closest thing to a dry wedding is like dry Madison. So
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
even dry. Like we go to trivia every single Tuesday, and it's like the same 5 teams there every single week. We're like best friends with everybody now.
wait, you go to trivia?
Yeah, we're big trivia families.
Is it like, wait, is it like at a place, like at a public place that has it?
Yeah, the
This
the
sounds
bars
like-
and stuff are still open.
What?
Yeah.
I have some questions. So, is it
Shoot away.
like indoor, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is stuff spaced out?
Yeah. They have like a capacity limit in the trivia aspect of it. Like I said, there's only 5 teams that like regularly go. So you see
Okay.
like the same 20 people every single week there.
Well, it basically counts as your pod at that point. And like, is there
Yeah.
like temp check and like tracking or not tracking number sounds fucked. Like
No.
phone numbers for contact tracing.
No.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just
It's,
curious.
it's pretty much on the honor system.
Okay. Hey,
'Cause there
listen,
was
if
a
you got the
guy-
Rona, fuck off.
Yeah. No, there was a guy that he got COVID because he had to like travel to like Texas and Missouri because he works for like a dog sheltering organization, like nonprofit, where they take dogs from Texas and like bring them up to Wisconsin to like find them families and stuff.
Okay.
And so he missed a week of trivia, and we asked the owner, I was like, oh, hey, where's this guy at? And he was like, oh, he's out sick right now. We're like, oh, does he have COVID? And they were like, we don't know. And we didn't see him again next week after that. And then he came back a week later and was like, yeah, I had COVID, and it was like the worst thing I've ever experienced in my life.
Dude, that's what I've heard. I had a friend who had it too. He's like, yeah, I woke up because I like couldn't breathe and I thought I was gonna die, and it was like I've had this terrible fever. And then I've heard people who's like, yeah, I had it and I just like, I don't know, I couldn't taste and then it went away. Like it seems like it's all over on the spectrum. But to be fair, if there's anywhere, this isn't like questions to like shit on Wisconsin or Madison or anything. I'm just like, I think if there were ever a place where I would trust people on the honor system, it would definitely be Wisconsin. First off,
Dude, Wisconsin people are so nice. Like,
bro, right? It's nuts.
It's bizarre, yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. I don't know what Arizona's like, but I mean, you had experience in New York, which is drastically different than like everything Wisconsin. And like, not to a fault, but there's definitely been times where I'm like, yo, I fucking do not want to have a conversation right now. I'm in a bad mood. And the guy's like, oh, hey, like, how you going? And I'm just like, bro, stop, please.
Man.
Not right now.
It's like the nicest city too. Like everybody's so nice and like helps you out. We had a
Yeah.
person like bring us a snowblower one time last year because we didn't have one. They were like, "Oh, here, have the snowblower." And I'm
Dude,
like,
that's
okay.
that's the most Wisconsin shit I've ever heard.
Yeah.
It's like do you follow any of those like Midwest pages? like the Manitowoc Minute guy and like the You Betcha guy. Dude, it's crazy how spot on that shit is. Like they made a joke about dads getting up at like 5 a.m. with a coffee that's automated and this green ass like beat to shit thermos. And that's like definitely real. What I grew up with was just like, yep. And then anyone who has like this fancy Yeti bougie shit is definitely like a city person, and they live in like a downtown with like 20 more people. And you're like, you're from the city, you don't know.
Yeah. So back to trivia, like that guy played trivia with like an 80 or 85-year-old dude that like lives in my neighborhood, and he was like freaking out. Like he was like, I would never forgive myself if I like accidentally killed my trivia partner.
Jesus Christ.
I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I don't mean to laugh, but that's like so wild. But also like, it just sounds like a Seinfeld sketch. But that's crazy that's like, that this is all shit that like is happening and happened. It's such a weird year, man. Not to just like cop out with bullshit topics, but like, fucking imagine there's a global pandemic that like doesn't get taken care of properly, and then people fucking storm the Capitol. Like, what the fuck is this? Like, if you, I thought this even before everything happened, and even before like Trump was elected, but if you just took photos of like certain things around like just daily life, and you made it black and white and put creepy music to it, and like filmed it in like, I don't know, like 240p, and then just slowed down or 240 like FPS, and then just slowed it down, it would just look like some post-apocalyptic thing. And that was before any of this shit popped off. Like,
yeah, past 4 years have sucked, honestly.
Yeah, it's been
so like going through college and everything, and like having to be exposed to like everything every single day of my life. It's just bad.
Dude, it's a lot to process. Apparently there's this thing going on with people being like, people exposed to such high levels of stress. Also, let me know when you finish that. I'll add it to the drink counter in the chat. But also, if you didn't know, I'll do the drink down. We're streaming this. If you're hanging out and stream, I didn't upload the last video yet. It's gonna be like a long 2-hour podcast with Noah part 2. But you can also check this out on the twitch.tv/Dylan Mansour Music, where I used to stream music stuff, and I just haven't been inspired to compose, so I haven't. Anyways, yeah, dude, it's weird to like see all of it and go through it too. And I blame myself for all of this. So everyone who's had to live through this, I'm sorry, because I always used to tell my mom growing up, I was like, the 20th century sounds so interesting, and you like live through all this shit with like all of this, like that's so crazy, like that must be so interesting and like so nonstop just to like live through that time. And like now it's getting fucking weird again, and I regret ever saying that I wish I lived through things like that, because going through things like that, fuck, it's like a lot mentally and like disheartening. And what I was saying before is that like people going through such levels of like stress and anxiety over the past couple of years, that like it's becoming kind of like a mass scale thing with like sleep issues and people just like really frying out, which is crazy to think about. Like the same thing with social media, you know, when you start seeing like very human effects, and as somebody who's gone through like a lot of mental shit, what happens is like very physical ramifications of what your headspace is going through. And in an era where like nothing is true, so everything is true, and like you just have information immediately all the time, it's just like so much to process and like exist in, you know. And I mean, I've had conversations too with like friends and family, just being like, I think even like Joe Rogan talked about it. Because like if you were like not to quote him, because that's a weird meme and group to get involved with, but like I was talking to someone about like how human stuff used to be before your biggest concern was like, am I going to live another day? Let me find something to eat and not get cold at night and die. Like, and I think it's like the same thing as financial stuff, right? Like when you're at such a core level of like survival, you have less stresses. Like I'm not going to be worried about, do I have a purpose or do I like my life? If I'm worried about like, well, will I be able to afford to eat today? Because it takes you back to that kind of like primal realm of things. But now it's just like, people who do and don't have money, everyone's like, fuck, this is real rough, huh? This is where we're at as people? Like, this blows.
Speaking of money, I was listening to the one with Noah that you had last week, and I remember you guys were talking about like your salary, and that like you're completely fine with having the salary for like the rest of your life because it's like so much more than you could have like expected to make. Like the exact same boat.
Yeah, actually, funny enough on that, cheers by the way, part 2, but it's like I've learned a lot with the company I'm currently at.
Yeah, where are you at? Because like, are you working at the rock climbing place like on, was that Broadway, like underneath the train station?
Yeah, no, the one that we went
was
to,
a long
right?
time ago. Yeah.
No, I never.
We didn't go to.
Okay, you went
I think
separately a different time without me. It's okay. We won't talk about
No,
it.
I
It
went to
hurt,
the
it's
one in
fine.
Dumbo. I was in Brooklyn that day
Oh,
with my girlfriend.
that's the one I worked at. Actually, funny enough, I worked there seasonally
Oh, yeah.
for like 2.5 months, and then I quit. Well, no, actually, that was. I think that was the only job I was fired from.
You
Because they
sent me a
didn't.
picture of my receipt like the same day later on.
Oh
remember
yeah. Fuck, that's right. I was like, "Yo, were you here today?" Yeah, because I wasn't getting time and a half on a holiday, and I was like, "Well, I'm not going to work on a holiday, not get time and a half, so I'm going to go hang out with people
That's
and
shitty.
enjoy my holiday." And then the next day, after I hopped a turnstile to get there because I had no money, the guy was like, "Yeah, I think we're going to have to let you go." I was like, "You think you're going to have to let me go?" "Yeah, just because of yesterday." And I was like, "All right," so I left, and then. Did music teaching for like a year at a private school, and then just wasn't like paid enough, and like it's just hard to hit 40 hours anyways. So
That was on
like
Long Island, wasn't it?
Nope. I taught a high school drumline out in Long Island. This was like
That's
a
what it
private
was.
music school teaching like private lessons.
Gotcha.
And then I stopped doing that, and that's when I moved to Wisconsin. A lot of shit went down, real rough time. And then 3.5 weeks later, moved back to New York, and then I found a job at a different climbing gym, Brooklyn Boulders, and I was working there for about a month. And then I remember the day when we shut down, we had to call every member who was booked that week and say, "Hey, we're closed."
Ugh.
And then I stayed on for another 2 weeks, which is basically a theft of labor. That's a whole nother conversation. But calling all these members, asking them to continue paying their membership dues so that we could pay for all of our staff that then was without notice furloughed, and then without notice terminated later in the summer. And then they offered me my job back, and it was a toss up between that and PF Chang's, and I took my job back. And then I've kind of gone from sales to getting more involved in marketing and sales campaigns, and then have gotten like all the training, but have no title and no promotion to compensate that, which I actually have a meeting with the CEO on Wednesday to be like, "Listen, man, this is what I'm capable of, and this is what I want, and if not, I'm just going to kind of look elsewhere." So I've had I've gone through like one other interview process, and that's when I learned, because of this job, I've like padded my resume enough that I can now qualify for like higher level marketing jobs that will be able to offer, like salaries and stuff. I got this from basically like a friend, and it was, they were like, "Yeah, I would imagine it's like 50 to 75 salary. We usually offer like 500 a month for cars, and then cover like dental and eyes and all this shit." And like, as someone who's never like around that much growing up, it's fucking wild to imagine that experience. Just like so weird to be like, "Yeah, I'm qualified enough to make this much money a year," which isn't even fucking like that much if you really think about it, versus like the cost of living.
I mean, still, it's
Yeah, no,
it's more than the average person would make.
Sure. And it's like, that's not to sound like ungrateful by any means, but like when you look at what like higher level places are making and shit, and like the more I've been with this company, the more I've learned how much this company makes in revenue, and just imagining what the executive team and like higher ups are paid is just like almost disturbing. Like, we've taken like a 20 to 25% pay cut. And I was like, that pay cut's probably more than I make in a year anyways. You want a gold star for that? But to now kind of have like the qualifications and being like, I'm now pursuing stuff in that like real job realm, while still, I still enjoy music and podcasting and all the YouTube stuff, so I'm still doing that. But to be like eligible and qualified to pursue stuff that I just always call like real job is wild, and so different to like think about. Like, yeah, I just get paid this every 2 weeks, and then I get this much time off, and I have the health benefits. Like, that's fucking wild, man. That's so like insane to me.
Are you 26 yet?
No, I'm 24.
25. Oh. Wait. How old am I? Am I 23? 22?
22.
No, I think I'm 23 now. You're only a year older than me? For some reason, I thought you were like 2 years older than me.
Damn, did you get held back, bro?
I might have. Maybe. It's possible.
The timeline's really fuzzy too. No, I was younger in my class. My birthday's in May. I don't know how that shit works.
Oh.
I forgot.
I think I'm like way older than the rest of my class.
Oh, well, we just hit either side of the spectrum, and now our gap is way less.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's weird to think about. And the other thing is like, I don't know. I hate getting excited about opportunities before they're presented, because now I'm at that awkward stage where I wait to hear back from this job and basically prep with this meeting Wednesday with the CEO to see like, okay, is this outside opportunity going to happen, or is there something internally? And if not, like, I'm still going to apply for outside shit. But like, I hate waiting, man. I hate waiting on interviews. And like, I haven't felt this nervous for something since like when I started playing music, and I had like very bad performance anxiety. Like freshman year of college was probably the worst performance anxiety I've ever had. that was after like years of playing shows anyways, but it's just, there was a lot of shit going on. So I just got like very nervous and tense. The interview still went fine, but I like definitely felt it internally. I was like, man, I'm fucking struggling. Like this is the hardest I've felt in an interview before, because it's like, it's very intimidating because it's marketing a product that I'm not used to. Like for this latest interview is like basically like cosmetic beauty products, and it's like a B2B thing. And part of the sale of the like equipment from B2B is like also offering them like a marketing and business development package, which I would be kind of like heading and like the contact person for. And it's so weird to imagine that I'm like capable of being considered for that. And it's not that I don't think I am, it's just so different, you know. And it's like all the marketing and business stuff that I've had to do on my own to like freelance and try to like run my own thing, which I did like well and effectively, but it's just so weird, man. It's like, it's really just a whole nother scope of life, which also makes me question like the whole like pursuing music versus not music and like what that means. I don't know, man. It's just weird. I don't know what your experiences were like with like school and job stuff, but it's like, and not just keep saying it's wild like 2020, but it is like fucking insane to me.
I got you one. So I interned my junior year from like 2018 in October to 2019 of April with New York City Emergency Management in Brooklyn. So they were basically like the coordinating like city emergency management organization, kind of like FEMA, which is like the federal one.
Okay.
So I was interning with them, was like all in with my supervisor and everything. And then she hit me up whenever COVID started to happen in like the end of February, like early March, wondering if I'd be able to come on to like consult and like help them with their efforts and everything. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm definitely down. But I still had my last semester of schoolwork left. And so I ended up telling her like I had schoolwork I still had to do. And then I kind of like missed out on that consulting job, but like if I went back, I'd 100% just take that consulting job and like lie and say I didn't have any school.
Yeah, well, this is gonna be worth it. Even if you had to skip that semester, be like, this will be well worth missing this last semester, just not graduating versus having an actual job right now doing something I care about. Yeah, you know, that hindsight life. I don't know, man. It's super strange, and I've been like just all sorts of fucked up, like thinking about music stuff, and like I mentioned it as a joke, but with this stream too, like I used to do way more music stuff and writing music and shit. And like the reason, like tonight I was very tired. I did not want a podcast. It's like I got home late, all this shit, but I'm trying to like hold myself to still kind of pursue my own things. And the goal is that like, I don't know, I've only ever had like 9 to 5 kind of not even 9 to 5, like just like throwaway hourly jobs, you know, like a lot of service and food industry stuff and like whatever else. And then this is kind of like formulating into something real, if nothing else, like not financially or whatever else, but definitely on paper and like with the skill set I'm developing. And it's just like, I don't know, if I can do, my thought is if I go 9 to 5 and it's more enjoyable and less stressful, because right now it's very stressful and the company I'm working for is in like a tough spot and they're like restructuring, and it kind of just feels like all of my work's being taken advantage of and picking up all the slack because it's financially the best option, obviously, to just pinch pennies and ask more of your employees. But like to have something that's like stable and more consistent. And I think that structure might help me be more consistent with my other stuff too, with the videos and the podcasts and shit like that. But I don't know, you know, because I've just never, I like graduated school, had that gym job, was fired from that gym job, then heard back from 3 different music schools and started working at 3 different music schools, and then was tired of making like $1,200 a month when my rent was like $800. And then, you know, like, it's just weird, man. Just to keep saying that over and over and over, like it's just so crazy to me to go through all of that, because I came from like a weird background growing up, not really seeing much of it. And then also like even the person who referred me for this position that I interviewed for was like, you know, you went the hard way with like trying to like figure it out on your own first and like build your own thing first, and then doing that well, and then being like tired of that and then going for like a regular job. Most people do it the other way around. And I was like, how would I just go to a regular job? Like, I went for music. Can I make your post on Instagram pretty and help you hit metrics? Like,
I think my first job after I graduated, because like I was kind of freaking out like in late April, like early May. It was like everybody's saying like you need to have a job like right after college and everything. So I was like, oh shit, like I'm about to graduate, I don't have a job lined up, or like the job I did have lined up, like it can't take me now because it's too late, and like I had to do this all this other shit. And so I was like scrambling, so I ended up getting like in touch with a temp agency in New York. So I just took like a random job with this educational tech company called Nucella, which was basically like a customer service job, online, remote. So I did it from Wisconsin, which was perfect. Didn't have like any expenses, just took home like every single cent of money that they gave me.
Yeah.
Like didn't have to pay anything. And that was like a 9 to 5, and it was like the sweetest setup ever. I just sat on my laptop all day, like answered people's questions, like fixed their accounts and like Django and some other like in Salesforce and stuff.
Nice.
But like 9 to 5 jobs are tricky because like you want to be that diligent employee and like go the extra mile, but you can only do it in that 9 to 5 range setting. Like it's don't even take any kind of work home. It's not worth it because you're not going to get compensated for it.
Yeah.
And like if you're taking it home in private and not telling anybody, then just no one's going to know about it, and you're just going to be doing work for absolutely nothing.
Yeah, that's definitely the hardest part too. Is like, and I've been kind of like trying to figure this out lately, and talking to a handful of people around me that know me pretty close about like, I don't do well at not doing things good, and that it's just like I'm just not good at it, and it's not like I'm good at a lot of things. It's just that when I do something, I commit to getting good at it. Like there's no, like I'm a firm believer talent doesn't really like. It's not really a thing. It's more work ethic. Like I wanted to be a professional baseball player, so I got like really fucking good at baseball, except batting, because I was like a little bit scared still because I was young. But like, everything else, like I got, it was, second base, not to flex, but you got pretty equipped. I was cheating all the way over. But like, I did that and I was like, I want to do this and get really good at it. And then I was like, oh, I want to play lacrosse and get really good at it. So I played lacrosse all the time and got really good at it. And it's not like I'm not some like insane superhuman person. I'm just like very obsessive, and it's to the point where like I don't do well at doing shit poorly. So now where I'm at, like I have a lot of different things that interest me. Like paintball has always interested me, and I've never been able to afford to like really play it. So I just like airsofted and played it like it was paintball, and like that was what I was interested in. But like I want to play paintball and like do that because I think it's fun, but I don't want to like be bad at it. Like I would love to play intramural lacrosse again, but I don't want to like be bad at it. I like playing like a handful of different video games. I play like 3 of them because it's a small circle of games and I can get good at them and play them well. Like I don't really do well at just doing shit casually. And I'm like hitting that same thing with climbing, where like the next hurdle is like I need to spend time training, like if that's working out or doing like walls with steeper angles that are like less fun and just more like like we have like this whole training thing in like the creepy basement. It's not that creepy, but it's just not as fun, and the speaker doesn't work. So you just sit in silence and like hang on a board and it's
climbing.
Just climb in silence, and then you sit on a hangboard and you're like, wow, 30 seconds. Okay, now I sit for 3 minutes. Okay, now I do it again for 30 seconds. Okay, 10 more times. Like, I think that'll be like the first thing that I'll be like, okay, I don't think I'm bad at climbing, but I'm definitely not like good or great at climbing. Like I've hit this kind of plateau, and it's like I don't know how far I'm gonna go to get past that. But I don't know, man. I don't do it well, and that's the issue with like employers is that you're not gonna like I'm not even salaried, so like when I spend this time at home thinking or whatever, if I only log 38 hours, like I don't get paid that full 40, even though like I always talk about my shower time. My shower time is like my me time when I think about stuff. I never have, this podcast is just for fun. So there's obviously no script or anything. Like we talked about, it was like no script and a drink. That's the only rule, but like, the YouTube videos, like it's thesisized and there's a conclusion, but I just think about it in the shower a bunch and then I film it like twice and then it's done. And I'd like, then my work stuff, like my day job thing, started encroaching on shower time. And I'm like, well, now I'm drafting up sales campaigns and price points in my head that's not being compensated for. And then I go in and I do it. And that's not my job as like a salesperson. And today was the first pushback where I was trying to like grow internally. And they're like, yep, can't do it. And I was just like, what the fuck? So now it's like, well, if you want it, you got to try to reach out to corporate, which is like my last step. But that's a good way to say, like you said, if you take it home, like, you're not going to get paid for it. And also if you just do it in silence, you're not going to be like, you're not going to be compensated for it either. But I can't like flip that switch of like, fuck it. And it's off,
I think it's fine. Like thinking about it. I know, I think you might have a different stance on it. Just like thoughts being kind of work time too. But I think for me, like thinking about it might be fine, but not putting in any effort until the next day at like 9 a.m. and then starting to like jot down your thoughts and like going through the process of it. Because like, I think for me, whenever I'm thinking, it's more not like natural, but like it's on my own time. So like I can't really blame myself for thinking about it. But like I could blame myself for like getting out of the shower and like going to my laptop and like typing things out before I forget about them. Where I'd rather just like throw it to the side and put it. Because like my girlfriend's in medical school and like she works and like studies until the fucking
6 a.m.
the witching hours of nighttime. I'm just like, she'll like text me at like 12 a.m. like Central Time, which is obviously like 1 a.m. Eastern Time, and I'd be like, just go to bed and like finish what you're doing tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's like sleep is 100 times more important than whatever you're doing right now.
Yeah. Can confirm that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, when we lived together, I used to stay up to like 4 or 5 in the morning and then get up and like work out with you and run and shit. We'll talk about the gym thing in a second because that's also just something I wanted to touch on. But like I think because of how I operate as a person, like I don't script anything. The only time I've written down my campaign stuff is when I need to create like one pagers to train the other sales members and like the front desk team on the campaign and like present it to higher ups to get approval and like contracts in place. So like for me, the writing it out phase is like the last, that's just like a formality because like when I think about it, I can't really like differentiate. Like my drafting immediately turns into like concrete, like establishing things. And I don't think it's like a big step for me per se, but like that's just how it's like the same thing. Like I like being good at stuff and I like finishing things. So when I think about it, I'm like, okay, this is a great idea. And I'm like, but this would be not profitable. So what about this? And then I figure out what is, and then it's like, oh shit, it's been an hour of me thinking about this thing and I wasn't on the clock for it. And now I know all I have to do is sit in front of the right people and tell them, and then it exists. And it's like, well, it's like that intellectual property kind of thing, you know, where it's like, it is real, but it's not as trackable and it's not as like quantifiable per se. And that just gets, I think it's part of being like a creative-y person is like you have that work, like that drive and that side of you that can blend really well with just like black and white tangibles, but is the hardest thing to be compensated for. Like even talking to that friend, like you mentioned the thing with Noah, we talked about if you're salaried and shit, like I might not have, like if I come up with an idea and I put something in place and it's like, hey, this is successful in making money, I might not have to do shit for like 2 weeks because it's like, yep, now I just watch the money come in. But it's like, then I'm thinking of the next idea. And then when the next idea hits, it's like not that much work literally, but all that time that I was thinking about it or whatever, like how do you quantify that? You know, it's so weird.
Definitely.
That's gonna be the title of this podcast. It's so weird. Episode 6. It's so weird. Episode 7. I don't know what episode this is. Okay.
I'm just here for the ride and the drinks.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's this podcast is just like talking to people while we have drinks and catching up, which is why it's great that we haven't seen each other in a while because there's stuff to touch on. So, okay, the only time I've ever done, well, I'm gonna have some scotch first, but the only time I've ever done gym stuff, ever, was with you.
Wow, like, I'm sorry, I'm such a fraud at the gym too.
You know, you're welcome. You should feel honored. No, but like I ran, and in music school, like we just got tired of sitting in practice rooms all the time, like a handful of us. So we played basketball all the time, and I was like in okay shape. I was way skinnier than I knew. I'm bummed. I missed out on my skinny time without knowing that I was really skinny. What a bummer. But like,
I'm still skinny, so it's okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we've talked about that because we're on like opposite sides. I was like, I want to lose weight and get cut. And you were like, I want to put on weight and get big. And like, all I did before was like running and basketball. So I used to like stay up really late doing all the videos because I did like a video day trying to like vlog and shit. And then I remember asking you, I was like, hey, I want to work out and stuff. You're like, yeah, you can just like come along. And you're like a pretty quiet guy, especially in college. I feel like you were very just quiet and like, I'm just kind of in Cooperland. And it's not like a jab. I just think that genuinely you were just like, this is what I do. So if you want to be on my line, you can step here and then we go forward. And that's like, you know, that's fine because it works out really well for gym shit. You're like, hey, I'm leaving in 15 minutes. And I was like, dude, I just woke up. I like wake up to you texting me like, are we going? And I was like, oh shit.
Very punctual. I don't like being late to things. I stick to a pretty strict schedule. Yeah.
By the way, this podcast started 39 minutes late. So he's changed a little bit in the past couple of years, but
it's been more patient.
You know, I'll just take credit for that and be like, yeah, I'm just helping you practice. But I can't help the whole like jazz time. It's a joke, but it's also kind of real. That's why I plan with
you and my girlfriend too. You guys are like on the same time.
Yeah, it's like 30 minutes late. I'm like, hey, let's aim for like the friend that I climb with, Noah. I'm like, let's climb at 6. I know he's gonna get there at 6:30. I know every fucking time he's 30 minutes after whatever time we decide on, and it's fine because that's how I schedule. I'm like 6. I'll be done by 6:30 with work. It's okay. But that was like the first time I ever did any weight anything, and I remember going in. First off, gyms are just like, I don't want to say scary, but they're just like weird and smelly. And there's like a bunch of dudes who are fucking jacked and it smells like shit. And everyone looks at themselves and there's like more, like each one of those dudes has more testosterone than I could possess in 6 lifetimes. And they're like drinking this weird powder shit with the shaky things. And it's just like, everyone's got these weird colored beverages. And like I get there and I'm like, I was trying to just start where you were, and like the weights it just wasn't happening. I was like, I'm going to take like 10 off of everything you're doing. And I remember like the first like week and a half, 2 weeks, I was like, bro, I feel like shit. Is this just what happens? And you're like, oh, you just get used to it. Because what was it? Was it 5 or 4 days a week? 5 days a week?
It was probably 5. Yeah.
And like weekends off, I think.
Yeah.
Unless we missed a day and you're like, hey, I'm not going today because I'm not up for it. At which point I was just like, okay, that's fine. I'm not going to go on my own. Fuck that. And then you're like, hey, it's Saturday. We didn't hit Wednesday. Let's go. And I was like, all right, well, fuck it.
You were lucky my freshman year. It got progressively worse. Like, as the years went by, because like our baseball program, like workout schedule got like more and more strict over the years. So it was literally like every day at 8 a.m. we were in the weight room like working out, and then like you had the option to go back at like 5 to like work out more.
Jesus, man. Yeah, because
I never went back at 5. That's
because it was
too
like,
much working out.
It was like for baseball, right? But you had like a different sheet that you signed or something when you clocked in, and it was like 45 minutes workout. But the thing about it was like, I think your rests were longer when we were together because you had to wait for someone to finish a full rep. Because when it was just you, you'd just be like, yeah, I'm going to work out for 30, 40 minutes. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, don't people go for like an hour? And then I would go and it was just like nonstop. You're like, hey, it's your turn again. I was like, what do you mean it's my turn again? Like, it was so fast paced.
It's like, so honestly, like gym's obviously not a scam, but like working out, I figured out like over the years, this like isn't my thing. Because like, no matter how hard I work, I'm sure I could work harder. My coaches would always tell me that I could work harder, like put in more effort. But I was like,
clock out after my 9 to 5. Fuck it.
So like my sophomore year and like that summer, I was trying to like bulk up, and I got up to like 160, and I'm like consistent like 150, 155. But I was like killing myself with like these protein shakes and like weight gain shakes and everything. To, like just
hungry.
put on it like. You live in one of those summers in Chicago were like the absolute worst. Like I was down in like 3 a day. I think the calorie count in the protein shakes was like 1,500 calories like each shake. So I was like murdering my body, only to see like the slightest gain of like 5 pounds, and like even then like I didn't look any different, or like I just felt shitty all the time.
Now
so
I just feel bloated.
Yeah, I was like, this was not worth it at all.
Yeah.
But like, going back to working out, like in those sessions of like that hour to like 45 minutes, like you're working out for maybe half of that time of like actually doing like lifting and like squats or anything like that. Like the remaining period of your time is like sitting there like resting and not doing anything.
Yeah.
It's like I was always on the schedule of like just get in, like do your shit and like get out. Cause like people that are wasting like 2.5 hours in the gym, like I feel like they're not doing anything.
Yeah, there's definitely people who are like serial, like we called it like the black hole in like at music school, at the first school I went to, like where we would just hang out at like it was the LEO table for the library of something. Get another one down there for you. I gotta catch up. But like was just like you're just black hole. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna go practice, and then you just fucking hang out at the music building forever and like practice like an hour, and then go catch up with friends, and then practice another hour. You're like, yeah, I practiced 8 hours a day. Like, motherfucker, you practiced 2.5, and then you got lunch and coffee, and then dinner, and then coffee, and then you hung out. Like, that's not. And we
gotta switch to our piano sessions in Shepherd after this.
Oh, dude, I forgot about that too. Holy shit. Yeah.
Let's finish with the workout stuff though.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm interested in your thoughts.
Dude, it was weird. I get it though, because like, so I asked my mom a lot of questions because she used to work out to the point where, I mean, at least the way she explains it was like, okay, I'm going to pursue being a bodybuilder or like going the family route, and I was the result of the family route. But like, she used to be jacked, like in a creepy way, to be honest. Like, she was fucking cut. Like, we did this stair climb in Milwaukee up the US Bank building. I don't know if you've been in Milwaukee.
Ugh.
It's like 44 floors because you go like there's basements like 3 floors deep. And at the end, she like flexed and she was just jacked. And I was like, hey, I want to get muscles and shit. And you used to like be big and strong. And part of what she mentioned was like a lot of people rest longer than they need to, which is like the opposite of climbing, because with climbing, like since there's stuff on your tendons and there's stress on like muscles and things that are fragile, like you need to kind of watch it a little bit, and you exert a lot when you're like working on projects and shit. And like to have the opposite, like it was very efficient, which is great, because part of why I stopped going was like first off, like we just weren't going together because you had like some different schedule, and I was like, I don't like it. and I don't like sitting here for this long. I'm like 20 minutes in and I'm already thinking about like emails and videos I want to make. And I was like, fuck it. My workouts went shorter and shorter. And then I was like, I'm just not going to go anymore. I'm over it.
I don't like working out either. It's okay. That was like my least favorite part about baseball. And like everybody would always hark on and be like, oh, you got to work out. Like you got to get stronger. And I was like, listen, I do the same thing every single year. Like I hit 300 every single year. I hit like the same amount of home runs every single year. Like I'm fine where I am. Like I'm not gonna be 175 like pure muscle. Like this is not what my body type is gonna allow me to do.
Yeah, no, it's I think it's one of those things too where a lot of it is because I want like to be built differently. Like I have like lanky ass chicken legs and skinny arms and like the torso of like a tight end. So
the longest wingspan of all time. Like
yeah,
6'2".
I'm like you if your like rib cage and like chest were bigger just by bone structure default, and it's like always bothered me. But like my arms getting big isn't really a thing that happens. Like I'm in some of the best shape that I've been in from I like climb every day now, but like I'm still just not. Like it's just not, and I know it's not the same as working out per se, but I being comfortable with being like, well, fuck it, that's just not the thing, and like at least now I have a different output like for physical anything, because I don't want to just not exercise because that does truly make me feel shitty, but like I don't. The gyms suck, and we've talked about it in our sales meetings too, because it's like we're not. Our GM comes from like a fitness, like boutique fitness background. I was like, bro, this isn't a gym. People want to be here. Climbing's fun. It's objective based fitness, like where you hang out with people. It's fucking great. Like the regular gym shit blows chunks. What a terrible time. Yeah. Like it's just not fun. I'll just be straight up. Like I always wish that I was like cut and had a six pack. Probably never gonna fucking happen because I hate it. I just no part of me enjoys that, but. Going to the Shepherd piano sessions. So we're going to try to like wrap in like, let's say like 15-ish, because the 2-hour episode of Noah is going to fuck my 6-hour time slot, but we definitely got to do this again. But there was a music building, obviously not really a music building, but a thing where there's like a floor. I think it was 4th floor. I can't even remember. 5th floor, whatever. Like practice rooms in this building, and I had like an access key card, so I could get in whenever, which was great and like a really good time to just the amount of times I went there at 2 a.m, probably more than I should have, and then security came like, hello, can you be here? And I was like, here's my access card, leave me alone, and then I'd shed until like the sun. But we went because you were like the first time that I've known somebody before I met like my now fiance that liked music and wasn't a musician, but liked it on like a high level, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like a high level appreciation of music. Like you just sat and listened to music, and I thought that was like the coolest shit ever, because like I do, but like that's what I'm a music. That's like what I do. You know, you were just like, yeah, I just like music. Like I just sat and listened to this Imagine Dragon record, and you were the first dude who hit me to Mac Miller. I missed out on so much shit, and then I caught Mac like sadly at the very end. Yeah, the
R.I.P.
But like. That it was the Divine Feminine record, and I was just like, this is so dope. And I never like we sat and listened to music for a bit, and I was like, I've never done this with someone who's not a musician. I was just like so confused but also like interested. I was like, that's so cool that this you gave me hope, man, that like there are people that like music that aren't musicians that just sit and listen to it still. Granted, I think that's still like a dying breed, but that it even exists was cool. So you wanted to learn like what was it? It was a G major 7 chord starting on the 7, start on F
yeah,
sharp.
Something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was.
I ended up playing at a grill like on one Thursday night because like, there was a piano in the back or whatever, and I was like,
by the pong tables.
I've been learning this for like 2 weeks. I might as well just fucking jam out right now. I have a video of it somewhere, but it'll always stay on my phone.
Yeah, man.
It's on Instagram, actually. It's on my Instagram.
Yeah, it was like I gotta see that because that's funny as fuck. I think it was like G minor to B minor to E minor to D. It was like 1 3 6 5.
It was from Mac Miller. It was like one of the first songs on the album.
Yeah, it was after the intro like dialogue thing, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was like one of the first things that I learned kind of like by ear a little bit, and then we just pulled up a YouTube video. But I think we went there like really late. It was like 11:30, 12 p.m. And you were like, you can just get in. I was like, yeah, bro, I have a car. He's like, you just do this? I was like, this is early for me, man. Like the amount of times it was like 2 a.m. and I was pissed off and felt guilty I didn't shed. So then I just went and practiced for a couple hours.
We probably went at like 9 o'clock at the night. And I was like, oh, I'm like going to bed in like an hour and a half.
Yeah, you're like, oh, this is kind of late for me. Because we were on different schedules. You were already on like old man politician hours in college.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, I never understood that either. You're like, dude, I'm tired. I'm going to bed. I was like, are you joking? And you're like very serious about it. But you said everything
I
like
was like,
very
yeah.
just straight. You're like, no, this is when I sleep. I was like, what the fuck, man? Like, I'm going to be up for another 6 hours and then go to the gym with you at 8. Just fucking stay up. And you're like, nope, I don't do that. Which is also probably why you were like, just in general, probably way healthier. And like, to your point too, being like, sleep's very important. Dude, I slept for like, I probably averaged like 5 a night in college, maybe in city, mainly because I was trying to like do the video every day shit, man, really fucked me up because those edits, you know, I knew like a half a dozen people, and no offense if you're one of them that's listening, like I appreciate everyone trying all the time. So it's not a jab, but like a half a dozen people like started vlogs that were like in my like pretty immediate circle about being a musician and trying to pursue music at a high level. And I saw so many first vlogs and last vlogs and like, because people would ask me like, how long does it take? And I was like, dude, these edits to make them like interesting and fun takes like 4 to 5 hours. And they like didn't believe me. And then I'd start at like 11 PM and then stay up. And then John would go to sleep pretty early too. Cause he was also like, I like sleeping and eating well and shit. And I was like, what's that? And then I remember one time, I think it happened a handful of times where I was like awake and you came into the kitchen and I was still there, like editing. And I was like,
probably.
hey man, because you're just like, oh, it's 6 a.m. time to go be like a really young dad that's going to go work out and do politics. And I was like, well, this is my bedtime later.
Yeah, I think I saw your laptop in there a few times. I'd like go in to make breakfast and your laptop would be like fully open. It'd be like in sleep mode or whatever, but I'd be like, oh, he must have just gone to sleep like 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, dude, the
Like
renders,
7:30.
the edits and uploads, man, that shit took time. It's like 35 minutes. Fuck it, I'm going to bed now. I'm out.
Yeah. My sleep schedule's got progressively better. I go to bed at like 12 or 1 o'clock now, but I stay up and
Nice.
play video games for like from 10:30 to whenever I go to sleep. So
Man, you're so good at being in your early 20s. Welcome.
yeah,
We've been waiting for this moment.
it's a blast.
Yeah. Now you have to wait till you have a kid to go back to your 6 a.m. shit.
Ugh.
Is that awkward? Is that weird? Is she going to listen to this podcast and then it's going to become a whole thing? No.
She has a whole like schedule like planned out. I think that's just what med school people do.
Does she go to like Columbia
like-
or something? She's just like, this is all
No,
my...
she's at CCNY. She
Oh,
she
nice.
just graduated from undergrad, so she's at like the CUNY School of Medicine.
Congrats.
She's like,
if
oh
you're
yeah, like
listening.
I'm gonna get married at like 25, like have a child by like 28, do residency, and, like be an attending and everything like that. And I was like, I'm gonna like move to New York in like a week, and I don't have anything planned out. So
Nice. Well, you know, speaking from experience, it's a good time to do at least once, you know? Being homeless and jobless in New York City, that's not what you're doing, but you know, you're on that side of the scale, I think. It's like you know, it's fun for a little bit. It's you learn a lot. You learn about yourself and those around you, you know, find out who your friends are and stuff. It's a good time to be young and stupid for a little bit, but now I'm really tired of it. So now I'm trying to get on that salary real life shit, you know, get a house one day, you know, that kind of thing.
adulting sounds bad.
Bro, that's because you started too soon and now you're like on the other swing, you know?
Yeah, it sucks. It's not fun.
Which part,
Mature too
adulting or
early.
being young?
Just adulting.
Yeah,
I wish I was like people in Arizona that are like 3 years younger than me, but are the same age, but they're still living like in the high school era.
yeah, that's a real thing too. They just like never leave their hometown and they're like, I'm still in high school. It's like, bro, no, you're not.
That's honestly that's like the worst thing I could ever like wish upon somebody is just like never leaving their hometown.
Yeah,
I don't know if
man.
there are people on this podcast that are like that, but
Well, I mean,
if there
fuck
are,
it.
I suggest that you move out and go somewhere different.
Yeah, no, I think it's a very important part of like lifing. I think after college, or after high school, you should just get a job and like also maybe move somewhere out of the house just to know what that's like, and then go to school maybe. And also the college should cost way less, but that's a whole nother thing. All right, we're gonna try to wrap because like I'm just trying to fit the 6 hour thing, and also I want to spend time with more because I got home late and I bought $20 worth of snacks at CVS, which in New York is like 3 bags of chips, but like, and they
100%.
each have 6 chips in there. But is there anything you want to talk about for the last like 5 to 10, or anything you want to like shout out, or like your website or anything like that, or you just don't want people to read your college essays and be vibey? It's up to you, man.
I don't know if there's anybody out there who needs like custom apparel for their business. I don't know if you need custom apparel, maybe for like your YouTube or like podcasting stuff. But we're starting to partner with podcasts on Long Island, especially like hockey ones.
Okay.
Like doing custom apparel for them and like partnering with them and giving them like sales and discounts to our stores and stuff. But if there's anybody out there who needs that kind of stuff, you can either hit up Dylan or hit me up, and he can just pass along my information.
Just hit him up. It's Cooper York. That's all of his socials. I don't fuck with that middleman shit. Just hit him up.
Just hit me up. It's Cooper York on Twitter or Instagram or anything like that.
Yeah, man. Nice. Well, thanks so much for doing this. I appreciate it. We should definitely do this again. And also, just as context, I should have started with this, but I suck at hosting. But like, this is the first time we've spoken. We barely spoke my second year of college, your second year of college, and now you graduated.
Yeah.
I mean, a couple Instagram DMs, which clearly I don't remember for shit, so that doesn't that doesn't count anyways. But yeah, man, been great catching up. You should definitely hit me up when you're in the city, and we should, or in Long Island, we should grab a drink. I'm gonna end this before we end anyway, so we just Band-Aid approach it. So fuck it, this is the end.